All right, everyone. So Mike Brown made some very interesting comments after the game about James Harden, right? So we're going to watch this clip and react.
They were trying to do the same thing with Jalen, and so we said, okay, we feel like we can play that game. We try not to play that game much, but we feel like we have a guy that we can play that game with in Jalen. And so, just like we have to try to figure out different ways to guard Harden and Mitchell, they got to figure out different ways to guard Jalen. But there's no secret, we were attacking Harden.
So that ending part is the key, right? He says it is no secret that we were attacking James Harden. And I think it's very important because you read the headline, right? Especially how this is going to be perceived or just the quote, and you go, wow, that's a pretty big shot at Harden. If you watch the whole clip, you understand that, there is some praise for Harden in there regarding, yeah, we have to find a way to stop him. But after hearing this and, watching the game, you understand that this is the frustrating part of James Harden is that even last night, his game was so poor overall, right? Just not only was he not hitting shots, the effort didn't seem to be there. The turnovers were again a problem. I mean, even on plays he didn't turn over the ball, sometimes you still felt like, man, that was like a near turnover. Like that was so close, right, to being a turnover. So I just think James Harden, I don't get it. At the end of the day, we have this situation where for years now, people have pointed to James Harden in the playoffs in his lack of production when it matters the most. And there's no game for them bigger than this one right here, especially once you get up big. Once you get up big on the Knicks at home in game one, you go, this series just changed. Us closing the deal here gives us home court. Us losing this game may very well lose us the series. The Cavs are already the underdog in this thing. Losing this game to the Knicks puts them as even bigger underdogs because this is the game they had to have. And it's hard not to blame Harden for a good chunk of that. You don't want to have to blame Harden, but it's hard not to blame him. And that's the frustrating part. And look, if it was just bad shooting, that's one thing. It's the effort too. I mean, during this game, there were so many instances of rebound falling and hitting the ground, and the Knicks player comes up with it. Just small little things, not moving enough on offense, one extra pass, or him not being aggressive. It's like, man, you're the second best player on this team. And on some nights, you could be the best player on this team, especially on the offensive end. And yet, we get games like this. It's shocking. And look, by the way, Jalen Brunson, the guy that scored 38 points and won this game, he is equally as much of a liability, probably even more than James Harden on defense. But what does he give you? 38 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. We go look at James Harden and look at his stat line in the game. And what exactly do we get here? We'll go down the list, okay? So 15 points on 5 of 16 shooting, 1 of 8 from 3, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and let's take a look at the turnovers. 6 turnovers. That's insane. Absolutely insane. So yes, you could be a liability in defense if you're producing on the offensive end. And it doesn't even have to be scoring. It could just be getting other people the ball. It could be not turning the ball over, being that leadership guy on offense, right? Getting the offense orchestrated. And yet, even in this game, they were doubling them, and it felt like even though they were up big, they continued to make similar mistakes. So this was a bad loss, and the fact that after the game, Mike Brown says, "Yeah, we were going after Harden," is it should light a fire under James Harden that allows them to at least make this a series. But I would have said there's a chance, but we've seen this for years now, and it just never seems to do it. All right, thank you all for watching.